Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. So today what we are going to do? We are going to continue the clauses that we were discussing in last session. So what we discussed in last session, a quick summary. We started with the first schedule, part 1, which is for member in practice, where we discussed about clause 1, where a member in practice will be guilty of professional misconduct if he allows to practice in his name, and there were exceptions, like if there's a CA in practice or someone partnership employment. Remember we prepared a chart also that who is allowed, who is not allowed. Okay, for CA in practice, we discussed one example also. Then we discussed clause 2, that if a CA in practice allows or agrees or pays directly, indirectly any share, commission, brokerage in the fees or profits, okay, to anyone other than the specified person. Now, what was the specified person? Regulation 53A, professional bodies and with such qualifications, then he will be held guilty of professional misconduct. We discussed clause 3, that if he agrees to accept any part of profit of professional work of a person who is not a member or not a member of such professional bodies or qualification. Again, we refer to clause 50, regulation 53A. Then clause 4, enters into a partnership in or outside India with any person other than the mentioned below. Again, we refer to 53A and 53B. Okay, so we discuss about multidisciplinary partnership firms. We discuss about where partnership is allowed, where it is not allowed, and accordingly, he will be held guilty for professional misconduct if he does partnership with any person other than these. Then we have a clause 5, where we discussed about secures either through the service of a professional, either through the service of a person who is not employee or through means which are not open to CA. Any professional business. And we discuss a lot of things in that. Okay, arrangements, then, which are allowed under 2, 3, 4, will be allowed under 5. But if they are disallowed under 6 and 7, they will still be disallowed. So we discussed that particular part. Then we discussed in detail clause 6, that is solicits client directly, indirectly through circular, advertisement, professional communication, interview, or any other means. Okay, and we discussed a lot of things in that. For example, condition for tenders. We discussed application for empanelment. We discussed about certain advertisement notes in press. Then we discussed about firm's name on issue of greeting cards or invitation, publication of books, advertisement for silver and golden jubilee celebrations in newspaper, sponsorship, sharing profile of firm. So we discussed all that things which are part of my clause 6. Okay. Now, let's move ahead and let's discuss clause 7. Now, what is clause 7? Basically, if you see, clause 7 says that if a member in practice, okay, advertise his professional attainments or services or uses any designation, expression other than the charter accountant on professional documents, visiting cards, letterheads, okay, unless it is be a degree of university published by law or recognized by central government, or a title indicating membership of institute, okay, or any other institute that is recognized by central council. Now, if he does any mentions any degree other than this, then he will be held guilty for professional misconduct. Now, there are 4 elements that I need to discuss in detail. Element number 1, when I talk about that member in practice, if he advertise his professional attainments, okay. Now, how he will advertise his professional attainments? We already discussed in the last session also that, if I provide in any of the, means of advertisement, if I provide details with respect to, I am being this much years of experience with this much clients and all that stuff, I'm providing a professional attainment, some achievements in the media, in advertisement, in order to secure the work. Okay. And that is not allowed. Basically, you cannot do that. Being a member in practice, you are not allowed to advertise your professional attainments. Clear? Now, second part is using designation. We have already covered in past where, about using the designations, where I explained prefix, suffix, designations. If I go back to those notes, just to, remind, to take a, brief of that, what we discussed in that particular session. So we discussed about that, okay, what is prefix, what is suffix, what can be added in front of name and what cannot be added. Yeah, here. So we discussed about what is allowed, what is not allowed. For example, prefix as a CA is allowed. I can add it being a member. But as a chartered accountant, after the name as a designation can only be added when I'm CA in practice. Plus, other designations cannot be added along with this. Okay. Remember, we discussed about income tax consultant or what CPA or any other such, position that we hold. For example, directors, for example, political party positions or some honorary positions that we hold. We cannot. That is not allowed. So, one, it is not allowed by the act itself. Second, it is not allowed by the clause also. So, you will be held guilty of professional misconduct in that particular case. Remember that? Okay. So, designations such as the corporate lawyer are not allowed. Now, the third element which I want to discuss is appearing in the media, electronic media or internet. Okay. Now, what if I'm appearing on any of the videos, any of the news channels, or if I'm, appearing on the electronic media, what I'm about to use or what can I use, that is very important. For example, if I'm appearing on television, films, or news channels, okay, or, giving lectures online, okay, what I can provide in that particular video or, newspaper, news or video recordings, what I can give as a chartered accountant, let's say for my firm's name, or you can say my firm's address, a foreign number. So there are some, items. So if anyone can tell me what are those things which are allowed when I present myself on an electronic media. Can I, for example, can I give my firm's name? Can I give year of establishment? Can I give in which areas I do practice? How many clients I do have? What is the years of experience I have? Can those things be mentioned on electronic media? Yes or no? Let's say I'm appearing in the news. Can I mention those things? Anyone? Okay, very good, Aparakesh. Very good, Sumit. Good, Nisha. Okay, Sumit, very good. Yes, Mamta, very good. What about the others? No answer? Okay, Prashant, good. See, when I'm appearing on television, films, or internet, I agree to broadcast in radio or I give a lecture in a forum. Okay. They may take my name. They may add as a designation as a chartered accountant. They may add specific qualifications which are pertaining to that particular lecture. For example, I'm going and I'm delivering a lecture for GST related things. Okay. If I'm delivering a lecture at a GST related forum for a GST topic, if they mention that, okay, this is a specific qualification for GST I have, in that case, it is perfectly fine. They can mention that specific qualification. They can mention my name with the designation of a chartered accountant. That is perfectly fine. Firm's name can also be mentioned. That is also allowed. I can mention my firm's name. That Harshad Tekwani, chartered accountant, partner of this firm. However, any claim which is kind of, exaggerated in the nature or any kind of comparison is not permissible. For example, partner of the best firm in India or in this particular city. Partner of the biggest firm. No. Partner of the XYZ firm. I am giving kind of a comparison, qualitative comparison. If that kind of comparison is there, then it is not allowed. No, you cannot use that kind of comparison. The objective should be to present the topic, not to present the firm. Understand the difference. Okay, so if I am presenting the topic of GST, perfectly fine. If my objective is to present the firm and promote the firm, then it is not fine. Okay. So I may mention, as I said you, chartered accountant designation, that is perfectly fine. But anything which is in the nature of advertisement is not allowed. Okay. Now, the fourth part that I'm talking about is writing articles, organizing training courses, letter to the press. What things are allowed in that? Okay. What things are allowed in that? When I come to writing articles or, organizing trainings, what I need to do is I can give my name, I can give the definition charter accountant. But beyond that, no, you cannot. So when I write the article, you can have a Harshad Tekwani charter accountant, perfectly fine. There is no issue in that. If you write beyond that, with this much of experience and everything, firm name and everything, it becomes advertised. So you are not allowed to do that. So you need to understand what is and to what extent I'm writing, whether it will tantamount to advertisement or something of a similar nature, then it is not allowed. So here the basic concept is that I should not advertise my professional attainments. Okay. I should not advertise my professional attainments or services in order to secure the work or in order to promote my firm. No, I should not do that. Understand the difference over here. Any doubt till now? Any doubt? No? Okay. Then the next part that I want to discuss about the signboard and the size of the signboard. Okay. We are allowed to have signboards outside the offices. But what is the size? How it should appear? You might have seen a lot of, restaurants or a lot of, cafes have a big signboards or signboards even, before 1 kilometer. Then after 1 kilometer, you just need to take a right and this is where the particular cafe restaurant is situated. Or the restaurant or cafe is, just 0.5 kilometers away, 1 kilometer away, whatever. Okay, in highways and everything. You might have seen, big lighting boards or everything like that way. Okay. That kind of thing is not allowed. So we can put an signboard for our office, okay, outside our office, that is perfectly fine. But that should be, appropriate in size, visibility. Okay. It should not be the case. It should have a glow signs or lights or large size boards, okay, used by the traders or shopkeepers. It should not be the case. It should not be the case that, I want to display my signboard bigger than others or, I just want to attract everyone passing by through my signboard. No. So if signboard is of such nature that you are trying to attract each and every person who is passing by your signboard, then it is violative in nature. Clear? Any doubt? Okay. Now, so next part is use of logo. Except for any the logo which is provided by the institute. Okay, the CA logo. Can we use any other logo? Answer is straightforward. Straightforward, no. So we should only use CA logo, which is a definite color, which is a definite combination. Okay. And I will show you the CA logo that we are allowed to use. Other than that, we should not be using any other logo. I cannot have my personalized logo for my firm. Simple as it is. That using any logo other than the CA logo is not allowed. Simple. Another part is, can I modify the CA logo? For example, I changed the color bit. I added some fonts more. I added some, background things on the CA logo. I tilted a bit. Or, I'm doing some filtering on that logo. Can I do that? Basically, the answer is no. No, you cannot. And I'll show you how the CA logo is and how it is required to be used. So this is a CA logo guidelines, basically, issued by the institute. Okay. Now, you need to understand here, like how the CA logo is required to be used. This is the logo, basically, the new logo. Okay, of CA. Now here we have the older logo that was added with the the elements of the flag, and now we have a new logo. So there is some significance of the color, blue color, and everything's specified. Okay, we are not allowed to edit this logo. No, we need to use in the same form which is there. The colors are mentioned over here. So specific color tone is there. This one. You need to use this specific color tone only. That's it. Guidelines that okay, this consists of this particular logo was issued in 2023. This is having uptick marks, has the word India in it, emphasize the connection of institute with India. So all these elements should be present whenever you are using this logo. Okay, you are not allowed to change the color. You are not allowed to change the design, or you are not allowed even to tilting or rotating or rotating clockwise, anti-clockwise the logo. No, the logo should be straightforward. The way it is. Logo should not be shrunk, disoriented, or change the original proportion. No. For example, I reduce the size of CA, I keep the India bigger. No. Okay. It is effective from 24th November 2023. So you should know that this is from 24th November 2023. These are the examples you are not allowed to do. For example, changing the background, changing the colors, rotating, any which ways, removing the India word, shrinking something like shrinking in the signs. No, you cannot. Okay, and this is how it should be there on your card. Example has been given. This is how it should appear on your card. As a member in practice, I can mention in this way on my card. Perfectly fine. With an example, you can see. So this was about CA logo. Okay, and the logo guidelines with the new logo guidelines that have been issued. And apart from that, I'm not allowed to use any other logo. No, we need to use new logo. We cannot use old logo. With effect from November 2023, new logo is required to be used. If I saw a nameplate of a CA firm on which CA, CS both logo were there, is that a misconduct? Yes, we cannot use any other logo. That is for sure. Any doubt? Any doubt till now? Any doubt? No? Okay. So apart from that, there are two more things that I want to cover. One is the guidelines pertaining to networking or advertisement guidelines, guidelines for networking and advertisement guidelines. One are the logo guidelines. Logo guidelines we have already seen now. That was part of the logo guidelines, whatever we saw. Now I just want to discuss guidelines for networking and advertisement. And there are few things in those guidelines that I want to highlight. And for your reference, what I'll do is I'll refer those guidelines from the module so that you can have a look where it is given and how it is structured. Okay. It will also help you to understand the module and where and how the guidelines are given in the module. So just let me go to that particular page. Okay, basically you have on page number 19.111, you already have a council journal guidelines section. Okay, page number 19.111. Over there, okay, there are various guidelines given that we will discuss with the other topics and other clauses also. And if I talk about networking guidelines, and advertisement guidelines, we'll start first with the advertisement guidelines. Yeah. So it is there on page number 19.129. Okay. Everyone can come on the modules page number 19.129. We will go through this advertisement guidelines of 2008 and we will understand what are these guidelines and how what they require us to do. Basically, these are applicable whenever we put up a writing or any article or news article, or we put up anything in case of on websites or anywhere. So we need to follow these guidelines for those write-ups. Now, what are these guidelines say that in case of a write-up, basically, it shall be honest and truthful. Okay, no exaggerated claims should be there. Simple. You should write to the fact. No any claim or any such thing that any services offered by the firm or qualification and experience of the member. No, you're not allowed to write on that. Okay. No disparaging references. For example, if I compare any other firm with my firm, not allowed. Okay. Anything which is bringing disrepute to the profession or institute should not be there. Okay. Should not contain testimonials or endorsements related to me or my firm, so that it will be like an advertisement. For example, simple. Let's say I brought 3 people, or endorsement by 3 big people, person who are there, and they are kind of saying, okay, this service is best. He's the best chartered accountant in the city. His firm is best, something like that. So that is also not allowed. You cannot write that. Should not contain any information about achievements or award. Okay. Except award given by the state and central government or regulatory bodies. Monogram of any kind or use of any kind of catchy word is not permissible. For example, taglines. Sometimes you might see a tagline with a person's name, firm's name, or something like that. Not allowed. Membership FRN is mandatory to be mentioned. So it is mandatory to be mentioned in the write-up. Should not be exceeding font size. Okay, and should not be violating any other provision which is like Code of Ethics, Chartered Accountants Regulations Act, or any other guidelines issued by the council. Okay, this is for the write-up. Now, if you are doing advertisement through write-ups, okay, what things you are required to include is, these are the things with respect to the member, like the CA name, member number, age, date of becoming ACA, FCA, all these things. can be there, website, CA logo, passport size photograph. Okay, so some of things with respect to the member can be there. Now, some things with respect to the firm, for example, name of the firm, year of establishment, address, number of partners, okay, CA logo, details of employees if it is required, name of the employee, service provided, okay, and affiliation with a network registered with institute. So if I'm doing any advertisement through write-up, which is as per the clause 6, which is allowed as per the clause 6 only, okay, in that case, or allowed as per the clause 5, in that case, I need to still follow these guidelines. Okay, so whenever I'm doing advertisement which is through permissible way, not the advertisement which is not allowed by clause 6 or clause 7. Understand? So these guidelines are applicable only when something is allowed by your clause. If something is not allowed by clause, and if you say, okay, I will follow the guidelines, can I still do advertisement? Answer is no. Okay. Then there is a guidelines. Again, these guidelines also contain website guidelines for a CA firm. Now, what are these website guidelines? Like how the website should look. I'll provide some of the important points here. Okay. That website should run on pull mode. Now, what is a pull mode? That let's say, for example, I visit a website and sudden a pop-up comes up, best CA firm, or sudden a pop-up comes up that we provide these kind of services. Did I ask that what services do you provide? Then why the pop-up came? If that is a scenario that I'm not asking and still I'm being provided with the detail, that is a push mode. That you are pushing the information to me. Okay, not the pull mode. Pull mode is something I'm requesting an information and I'm pulling the information, then I'm getting that particular information from the website. Push mode is the website is pushing that information on me. That okay, these kind of services we provide. This is our partner. Our name was appearing in this particular news media. Just a pop-up, or just I'm opening the page and something big comes up in front of me without asking. That is push and pull mode. And website should run on the pull mode, not on the push mode. Okay. So if I ask specific details, then only those specific details should be given to me. Then again, I should not issue any circular or any advertisement or any other material to solicit the people on my website. I should not be doing that. There are certain things where I'm allowed to, there are certain things which I'm allowed to keep on my website. For example, member or trade or firm name, year of establishment, nature of service renders, partners, detail of employees, job vacancies, number of article assistant, or nature of assignment handled. But again, pull mode. It should be pull mode. It should not be that I'm just getting on my face directly. No. Yes, Sumit. Push mode is something, you are getting the information without you ask it. For example, nature of assignment handle. The moment I logged in on the website, or I just visited for example, www.xyzca.com. Okay. The website came up. Now, the first thing comes up as a pop-up or something, in front of me is the assignment handle by the CA firm, or number of article assistant, or team site, something like that. Those should be on a specific pull request or pull mode, not on the push mode. Okay. So there are these things that are required to be maintained on those websites. Again, these are the small things like display of passport size photograph. Then you have a link of social networking sites, that is perfectly fine. That can be mentioned on your website. Okay. Again, the website should not be in a mode that should be violative in the nature. For example, I have designed my website in such a way that whenever a person comes, he can get a list of chartered accountants who are providing the service. I'm charging those chartered accountants for listing the name of those chartered accountants on my website. I have designed my website in a disguised way as an aggregator. No. Although, you are allowed to have a website, but again, you are required to see whether those websites are violative in nature or not, whether they are, compliance with the other provisions of the, guidelines issued by the council, regulations or not. So in the name of website, I cannot have a aggregator app or aggregator platform for the chartered accountants. No, I cannot do that. Second, adequate secrecy of the matters of clients. For example, a big merger is going to happen and I disclose on my website, I'm handling the merger. That's a problem. You are not allowed to do that because one, you are breaking the confidentiality. Second, you are providing that information on your website so that people can come on your website and you want to attract more people and advertise the website. That's a problem. Again, no advertisement in the nature of banner is allowed. Okay. Any information which is not related to a chartered accountant or the field of chartered accountant should not be there on website. And yeah, these are the few things which are there for the websites. And yeah, so that is something with the guidelines of advertisement and guidelines of the website. Any doubt till now? Any doubt? Any doubt? There is one more important thing that I want to take up over here is application based, okay, service provider or aggregator. Means these are the some platforms which are acting as an aggregator. And in a straightforward word, if I talk about these particular platforms, not permissible for members. For example, if I have a platform like a Just Dial, I'm not allowed to do that. If I have a platform just like any other XYZ company, okay, I'm not allowed to do that. Not permissible. I cannot list myself on those websites as an which are aggregator in nature. No. Even in the directories which are there, like publications of name, firm's name by chartered accountant, telephone and other directory, my name or my firm's name should appear in the category of chartered accountant only, where it is permitted. Okay, so only in the section or category of chartered accountant in those directories, nowhere else. Number two, in that directory of that particular town. Let's say, for example, I have an office in Delhi. So if my name is getting published in Delhi directory, perfectly fine. If my name is getting published in the directory of Mumbai, not accurate, not allowed. So you should refer to the town or city where your office is situated, or the where a member of the firm belongs. Again, order of entries, alphabetical. It should not be the case. You pay more amount, your name will be on the top. Okay. So, for example, I pay, let's say, 10,000 rupees. Have my name first in that particular directory? No, cannot be the case. Any other manner other than alphabetical? Not allowed. Okay. Entries should not be in a manner that should, give an impression of the publicity. It is a very, it was seen in some of the directories, like, we have a very bold letters on the pages, very big letters for the chartered accountants. No, that will tantamount to advertising. and entries should not be restricted to certain chartered accountants. It should be open to all CAs, okay, of that particular town or city, to avoid any biasness or kind of any uh, activity which may promote one category of chartered accountants and not another. So these are certain things with respect to the directories and application based service provide aggregators. Yes, Sumit. Any doubt till now? Any doubt? Okay. So if no further doubts, should I proceed? Okay. So going to the next topic then. So the next clause that I want to discuss is clause 8. Okay. Now what is clause 8? Clause 8 discuss about and talks about if I accept position as an auditor, which was previously held by another chartered accountant or a certified auditor who has issued certificate under restricted certificate rules without first communicating with him in writing, I will be held guilty for the professional misconduct. Now, my question to all of you over here, which kind of audit I'm referring here? Like, is it only statutory audit, or it will cover tax audit, GST audit, internal audit? What kind of audit it is here? Or what kind of auditor's position I'm talking about? Can anyone tell me which kind of audit I'm referring? Is it only stat audit, or is it stat or GST, stat GST income tax? Whether it will include internal audit, concurrent audit, forensic audit, privacy audit, what kind of audit I'm talking about? Can anyone tell me? Okay, very good, Mamta. Okay, Anila, very good. Yes, Sumit. Anyone else? Which kind of audit I'm referring here? Am I referring only stat audit? Will it cover internal concurrent audit? What kind of audit it will cover? Come on, guys. Very important point to discuss. Trust me. Okay, Darshan. Very good. Yes. Anyone else? Think of a minute. Think again for a minute. Which type of audit I'm referring over here? Okay. Okay, Sumit. So to answer, I'll just provide with more detail the answer over here. So my clause 8 says that if I accept a position as auditor, this word is very important. Reason because when I talk about auditor, it can be any auditor. I'm not talking about only statutory auditor. Okay. So it is all kind of auditors which are included over here. I'm talking about, special audits, income tax audits. I'm talking about GST audits, internal audits, concurrent audit. So council laid those guidelines and provided that communication is required. Communication is required for all kinds of audit. Which will include your stat audit, tax audit, GST audit, internal audit, your concurrent audit, other audits like forensic or whatever, wherever the term auditor is used. So for example, if any in given law, if it says that you need to appoint auditor, over there this clause will attract. Means you need to accept the position only after communicating with the previous auditor. So if I accept the position as an auditor which was previously held by another CA, chartered accountant or certified auditor, that is to without communicating with him. In that case, I will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt till now? Okay. Now, let's say, for example, I'll give you one example. Mr. A, okay, Mr. A got proposal from ABC Private Limited management for appointment of auditor for FY 24-25. Okay, for financial year 24-25, XYZ asked Mr. A, can you be our auditor? Mr. A, okay, like to comply with this particular clause that accept a position as an auditor without communicating, what he did, Mr. A sent a letter through ordinary post to Mr. B, who was previous auditor, at the address provided by ABC Private Limited. After receiving no response, Mr. A accepted the appointment. Now tell me whether he is guilty of professional misconduct or not. Whether Mr. A is guilty of professional misconduct. Yes or no? Yes, no. Mr. A guilty of professional misconduct? Yes or no? He did send letter to Mr. B, who was the previous auditor. If you are saying yes, then why? What is the reason? Why do you say yes, that yes, Mr. A is guilty of professional misconduct? But any specific reason? Ginny, any specific reason? Okay, Premji, yes, good. Like he sent the letter, he did not receive a response. Let's say he waited for a month and he did not receive a response. After receiving no response, I'll add one more thing over here. For a month, he did not receive any response for a month. After that, he accepted the appointment. Why, Anila? Darshan, any specific reason for your answer? Like, what is the problem in this particular way? Very good, Sumit. Yes. But Anila, any specific reason why do you say it's a non-communication? Any specific reason? Darshan, any specific reason to your answer? Okay, Tushar. Okay, yes, very good. Now, in this whole example, what is the scenario? I'll tell you. Here, Mr. A, who sent that letter through ordinary post, okay, does he have the evidence of delivery, whether the letter was delivered to Mr. B or not? Can he prove? Because it's an ordinary post I'm talking about. Okay, I'm talking about ordinary post, and that to address provided by ABC Private Limited. So here the concept that I'm talking about is the positive evidence of the delivery. Again, the concept I'm talking about is the positive evidence of the delivery of the communication to addressee. And in that, the important part is positive evidence. That we need to understand what is positive evidence. Now, positive evidence is where I have some evidence to demonstrate that the letter was delivered to Mr. B. For example, if I communication by a letter sent through registered post, sorry, register acknowledgement due section of post. Okay, registers acknowledgement due section of the post is there, through which if I send means I get the acknowledgement that whether it was delivered or not. Number two, if I deliver it by my hands with a written acknowledgement, for example, somewhere, I'm giving a letter to the CA's office and I'm asking, okay, there is one copy attached to it, office copy, stamp it, sign it, and say received, which is a written acknowledgement that I have personally delivered that particular letter of the communication to the previous auditor by hand. So, by hand against a written acknowledgement. Third, or what I can do is I can do acknowledgement of the communication from retiring auditor, acknowledgement of the communication from retiring auditor, okay. I'll just keep it till here. Communication with the retiring auditor. Acknowledgement of the communication from the retiring auditor via email address. Now let's discuss the point number 3, this one. If I get a communication from the retiring auditor through email, is it perfectly fine? Let's say I modify the example of Mr. A and B. I say that Mr. A received acknowledgement. Okay, I say Mr. A received acknowledgement of communication from Mr. B's email address, which was shared by ABC Private Limited. So Mr. A sent a communication on the email address of Mr. B, which was provided by ABC Private Limited. And Mr. A received the acknowledgement of the communication. Means Mr. B replied back, okay, I acknowledge your communication. You can, I'm fine. There is no objection from my side. What do you say on this? Is it fine? Perfectly fine? Okay, Sumit. Any other opinion? Any other answers? Like Mr. A is receiving email communication from Mr. B saying that, okay, I'm fine. There is no objection from my side. You go ahead on the email address that was provided by the ABC Private Limited. So there is a mail that has been, sent from that email address that was provided by ABC Private Limited to Mr. A that I'm fine. Mr. B is fine with respect to the NOC. He is giving NOC, no objection. Yes, no. Is it perfectly fine or not? Okay, Mamta. Good. Okay, Anila. And Sumit, why can you explain the reason behind your answer? Can you explain Darshan, can any the reason behind the answer? Okay. Let's say you have received an email that, okay, this is the NOC. Okay. He has written in the body of the email, okay, I do not have any objection with your appointment as an auditor for financial year 24-25. That is given in the body of the email. Let's suppose that. Still, Sumit, you will say it is, they should have something else. Okay. Good, Sumit. Anyone else? No? Come on, guys. Okay, I'll tell you. So, in that case, no, not perfectly okay. I'll tell you why. The reason behind here is that the email address was provided by ABC Private Limited. What if that is not a correct email address? What if that is not the email address of Mr. B? So here the email address that we need to use should be registered with the institute or his last known official email address. For example, which is written on his website, or example, which is given on the visiting cards, letterheads by Mr. B. So if that is a last known email address, even in members publication, if it is given his email address in some of the member publication, so last known email address, official email address, or email address with the institute, that is required to be taken, not any you would say email address which is given by the company. So that is a difference. So I need to consider email address which is there and which is provided either registered with the institute or last known official email. Okay. So in this case, still I would not count positive evidence of delivery. So I would still say positive evidence is missing. Plus, you are required to generate UDIN. You are required to generate UDIN for such communication. Now, a separate guidelines will be issued by the council in this regard, but a separate UDIN should be generated on UDIN portals for such communications. Clear? This is how positive evidence should be. Positive evidence of delivery. Again, there are scenarios if, let's say, for example, premises found locked with a written acknowledgement due, then it will be counted as a, deemed to be delivered to the retiring auditor. If firm not found at the given address, okay, then in that case, I need to, see whether the letter was actually dispatched on the address which is registered with the institute or last known his official address. If yes, and I cannot serve any further letter because there is no further address provision, available. In that case, I would still count that it is served. Now, whether this communication is required in case of auditor's expert that has been appointed or not. So let's say last year I was appointed as an auditor's expert. Now this year I am appointed, someone else is appointed auditor's expert. Should that new auditor's expert communicate with me before getting appointed? So is this applicable to auditors expert? Yes or no? Anyone? Yes, the answer is no. Very good. The reason because I'm talking about auditor. Okay, so here the communication is required when you accept a position as an auditor, not the auditor's expert. There is a difference between both. Okay, so I'm talking about auditor, not the auditor's expert. Clear? Any doubt with respect to clause 8? Any doubt? Plus, you didn't, Tushar, means that as I discussed that for each and every positive evidence or each and every communication that you have with the previous auditor, okay, you are required to generate a UDIN. For example, if I'm communicating by a letter which is sent through registered acknowledgement due, I'm required to generate UDIN for that. Any further doubts? Any further doubts? No? So that was the clause 8. Let's talk about clause 9. If a chartered accountant in practice, if a chartered accountant in practice accepts an appointment as an auditor of a company without first ascertaining from it whether the requirements of section 139 and 140 of the Companies Act, earlier it was 225 of 1956, now it is 139 and 140, okay, without ascertaining the requirement of section 139 and 140 of the Companies Act 2013, okay, in that case he will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Means he should accept the appointment only after ascertaining whether the requirements provided under section 149, 139, 140 are complied or not. Are you getting my point? So whether the provisions of section 139 and 140 are complied with, then only he should accept the appointment as an auditor. Otherwise, he should not. If he does that, in that case, he will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Okay? Any doubt? It's pretty straightforward. Nothing difficult here. Okay. Now, I'll discuss one example over here and we will understand how 139, how 140 comes into a picture. Okay. So, what 139 basically talks about? Yeah. So, what 139 and 140 talks about? 139 talks about appointment of the auditor. Okay. Section 139 talks about appointment of auditor. 140 talks about removal, resignation of auditor, and giving special notice. So when an auditor is getting appointed, he has to see whether the conditions specified in those sections have been complied with or not. Now I'll take up one example to discuss this in much further detail. Just let me bring this example. Okay. Example is Mr. Sunil was appointed statutory auditor of Manpreet Autotech Limited after Mr. Ram resigned from the position of auditor on 31/7/2022 for the financial year 22-23. Mr. Sunil received the appointment letter duly signed by the board of directors and the resolution of audit committee recommending the name of Mr. Sunil to the board. Mr. Sunil received the letter of appointment on 31/7/2022, which he accepted on 1/8/2022. On 15/8/2022, Mr. Sunil fixed a meeting with Mr. Ram to understand the reason for his resignations and any concern that he should be aware about the company. Prior to this, no communication happened between Mr. Sunil and Ram. Okay. The board of Manpreet Autotech Limited filed the ADT1 with registrar on 31/8/2022. Mr. Sunil, after performing the audit, issued his audit report on 31/5/2023. After the report was issued, the registrar suo motu initiated an inquiry regarding the appointment of Mr. Sunil as the auditor of the company. After the inquiry of the registrar issued a report to ICAI wherein it was mentioned that Mr. Sunil should be held guilty of professional misconduct. Kindly guide Mr. Sunil. Now, tell me what is the problem over here? Whether Mr. Sunil is guilty of professional misconduct or not. Yes or no? If yes, then the reason. The example is there in front of you. If you want, take 2 minutes, read it again and tell me what is the issue. And should I say Mr. Sunil is guilty of professional misconduct or not? Come on, guys. So, Anila, are you saying whether he's guilty or not guilty? Okay. If you guys can mention the clause number also, that will be very helpful. Okay. Good, Vignesh. Sumit, Anila. Yes, very good. Come on, guys. Come on, quickly. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, Prem, very good. Kushika, very good. Okay, Ginny, very good. Yes. So, most of you guys have answered that yes, guilty. Okay. Guilty. Reason because clause 8, part 1, first schedule, perfectly fine. But that is an half answer. Can anyone tell me the rest of the answer? One more part is there. Clause 8, perfectly fine. Very good. He has communicated late. But what is the other issue? Which other clause is applicable in this scenario? Why, Anila? What is the reason? Like, can you specify? Can you be just like what is missing? This has been done. This has not been done. That's why this is my answer. Okay, Prem. But there is something more to this. Not only clause 8. There is one more clause. I'll tell you one more clause being attractive. Now, which is that? Very good, Vignesh. Why, Sumit? Anyone? Sumit, any specific reason for your answer? But where it is? Like, if any specific thing you are saying that it is there? No, Anila. Mhm. Anyone else? No? Okay, I'll tell you. Very good, Sumit. Yes, but which one? Okay. If anyone remembers, there is one particular section. Section 139. Okay. Section 139. And there is a proviso to subclause 1. Third proviso to subclause 1. Which talks about to file a notice within 15 days. So, to file the notice to the registrar is 15 days, not 30 days. And the notice is in the form ADT1. Here, the compliance has not been done. So, the notice was filed, or ADT1 was filed on 31/8/2022, where the appointment was done on 1/8/2022. So, that compliance has not been done. He should not have accepted the appointment. But he still accepted the appointment. As a result, there is a misconduct on part of clause 9 also, because that is a part of section 139. Are you getting the point? So when I talk about section 139, it is all the conditions of section 139 that are applicable in this scenario. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt with respect to this one? Good. So when I say clause 9, the compliance is required to be done with respect to section 139 and 140. The auditor has to see whether he, in real sense, whether 139, 140 is being followed or not. Now, there are certain conditions where, I can still go and accept the audit even when, okay, I can still go and accept the audit even when, there are, what do you say, conditions not complied with. But there are only few. For example, if there is some, technical challenge or some technical fault because of which the compliance cannot be made, that is one thing. But otherwise, I have to comply in each and every situation. Okay. Any doubt till now? So with respect to notice, appointment, uh, board of directors, everything, okay, everything is required to be understood over here. Even if you see in this particular case, it is not specified, but in case where the vacancy has arisen due to resignation, the incoming auditor should verify whether the resolution has been passed in general meeting of the company for filling up the vacancy. In case of a resignation, the resolution is necessary for the general meeting. But when it is casual vacancy, the incoming auditor should verify whether the board of directors have a power to fill the casual vacancy. So who is issuing the appointment letter is very important. Okay. So if he is receiving appointment letter from board of directors, then the last auditor resigned. No, in that case, it's an issue. If the appointment letter is after passing the resolution in the general meeting, with a proper resolution filing of the vacancy has been passed, then it is perfectly fine. So you need to understand what is the scenario. Even in case of removal of auditor before expiry of his term, whether a special resolution has been passed at the general meeting or not. So all these things are required to be seen by the incoming auditor, not the outgoing auditor. Clear? Now, the next clause is pretty much decent and straightforward to understand. There is nothing much you can say complexity over here. If a chartered accountant in practice charges or offer to charges, accepts or offer to accept in respect of any professional fees, any professional employment fees which are based on percentage of profit or contingent upon finding, unless permitted by the regulations, you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. For example, if your income tax refund is due, I will get your refund, but I will charge 5% of the refund amount. Audit fees, 5% of the turnover or 2% of the turnover. So if I have to charge fees based on percentage of profits or contingent upon finding, in that case, that is not allowed unless and until there is a specific provision in the regulation for it. And there are specific provisions. Okay, there are specific provision and there is one specific regulation to that. So, which is that particular regulation I'm talking about? Yeah. I'm talking about regulation 192, which is restriction on fees. What this regulation says, Okay. This regulation says that I should not charge my fees based on percentage of profit or contingent upon finding, except for the given cases. Now, these given cases are exception to the clause 10. That is, one, in case of a receiver or liquidator, if I charge the fees based on percentage of realization or disbursement of asset, then it is fine. Second, if I charge, okay, in case of an auditor of cooperative society, fees based on percentage of paid up capital or working capital or gross or net income or profit, in that case, it is perfectly fine. Third, in case of a valuer, if I charge, now valuer can be for the purpose of direct taxes and duties. Okay, valuer for DT, direct taxes and duties. If I charge based on percentage of value of property or value of property valued, basically whatever properties I have valued, on the basis of their value, if I charge, perfectly fine. In case of management consultancy service, if I charge, okay, percentage based on, okay, contingent findings or results, as may be decided by council. This is very important. If council decides that, okay, in certain management consultancy services, this is allowed, then that will be allowed. You have a for fundraising service. If it is based on percentage of fund raise, in case of debt recovery, percentage based on debt recovered. Then in case of cost optimization, percentage of cost optimized or benefit derived. And the last one is other services as may be decided by the council. And in that other services, council has decided insolvency professional and non-assurance services to non-audit clients. So insolvency professional, second is non-assurance to non-audit client. Basically, if you are charging any fees to any client for any non-assurance services, okay, he is your non-audit client and you are charging for any non-assurance services, in that case, perfectly fine. So all these categories are there which are fine, basically. Okay, any doubt till now? Any doubt? Sumit, can you explain subsidy, like what is the type of service? So in case if it is type of service, then we need to decide what is the percentage on it should be based. Basically, in case of direct taxes, if there is a valuer that he has to assess some specific property. Now, again, that is allowed, means it is not necessary he will do that. So, it is again the agreement between the valuer and the client, what they agree upon on the terms of fees. So, I am saying in these conditions, which is LAVMFDCO, that is liquidator, auditor, valuer, management consultancy, funds raising, debt recovery, cost optimization, and other services, that is LAVM, FDCO. In other than these, okay, it is not allowed. In these cases, it is allowed. See, Sumit, if that is non-assurance service to non-audit clients, then it is allowed, perfectly fine. But if it is assurance kind of services, then it is not. Any doubt with respect to regulation 192 where percentage can be allowed, otherwise it is not allowed? Any doubt? No? Very good. So, Raj, I'm talking about assurance. Even limited assurance is part of the assurance. I'm not saying it should be a reasonable assurance or it is like a certificate or where I'm giving absolute assurance. No. Even a limited assurance or any engagement which falls under the definition of assurance engagement will not fall part of regulation 192. It is not part of the exception. So if any non-assurance services where I'm not giving any assurance to non-audit client, means he's not my audit client, and I'm providing non-assurance service to non-audit client, over there I can charge percentage based on any particular category or particular factor. That is perfectly fine. Like preparing project reports. If I'm just preparing project report for banks, yes, very good example, Sumit. Yes, if I'm preparing project reports for bank and if I have some arrangement like based on the loan, based on the the project viability, capital budgeting or something like that, in that case I may charge because that is not an assurance service, plus I'm not providing to an audit plans. If yes, non-audit client, then only. If I'm providing non-assurance services to audit client, that is a different story, because that will trigger your threat to compliance of fundamental principles. I am providing non-assurance service with the audit client. There may be a chance of self-review threat, independence issue. So any which ways, non-assurance services to audit clients are required to be provided after detailed review, of the threats to the compliance to the fundamental principles. So non-assurance, non-audit client, I can provide, not an issue. Sumit, in that case, see, again, it is dependent upon the client and the professional, what they are agreeing into the engagement letter. If you are saying someone will inflate the numbers, do you really think that client will pay them? Clients are also that much, understandable that, okay, what is we are talking about? It is not something like that, today we go or we enter into an engagement without talking about the fees. Client knows what is the, cost of this particular services, and they very much agree on all the terms, and we are required even to agree upon the terms of the engagement. Raj, if it is a non-audit client, then perfectly fine. Any doubt? The reason, because Jenny, why cooperative society auditors are allowed, because in their cases, in certain of the type of cooperative societies, for example, sugar mills or cooperative housing society, the fees are charged based on the, let's say, for example, cooperative housing society. How the fees is charged based on the number of members. So per member amount is fixed. Based on the number of members, the fees is charged. So there are already laws and regulations in place which defines how the fee should be charged. That's why the exception of the auditor of cooperative society comes into the picture. Raj, there are other angles to this particular observation. For example, if you are providing services to the close relative of a company, in that case, section 144 might trigger. So you need to consider from that point of view also. So this is not only one particular standalone thing that we need to see. We need to see type of the entity, what kind of services we are providing, what was the original service given to the relative, or all that stuff together, and then we need to deliver, okay, whether we can do it or not. Any doubts? Any doubts? Okay. If no further doubts, let's take a quick 10-minute break. After the break, we'll continue the session and we will discuss the further clauses. Let's take a break. Thank you. let's continue, guys. Now, in this case, what we have discussed till clause 10, okay, that there are certain cases where the percentage based fees can be charged. So that is there. So that was regulation 192. Now we will move to clause 11. Now, what is clause 11? Clause 11 is very important clause. Okay, it's a very detailed clause, I would say, and there are few things we need to understand in it. Clause 11 talks about if a chartered accountant in practice engages in any other business or occupation other than the profession of a chartered accountant, unless permitted by the council to engage so, in that case, he will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Now, being said that he is not disallowed or basically disentitled from being a director of a company. So he can be a director of a company, but he cannot be a managing director or whole-time director. Okay. Or unless he or any of his partners is interested in such company as an auditor. So he can be director of a company unless his partner or he is not interested in that particular company as an auditor, he can be director. Okay. Now, if you see the first part, that is, he is not allowed to engage in any business or occupation other than permitted by the council. We'll come to the director part, but the first part is business and profession which are permitted by council. In that only, the chartered accountant in practice can engage. Otherwise, he cannot. Now, which are these, permitted business or occupation we are talking about? So, there are two particular regulations that we are talking about. Regulation 190A. Okay, Regulation 190A. And that is, then there is Regulation 191. 198 talks about that a chartered accountant in practice not to engage in any other business or occupation. Okay, except where permission granted in accordance with the resolution of the council. So, Regulation 198 talks about where specific permission has been obtained. Okay. Permission based, you can say allowed or permission based, he can enter into that particular business. But when I talk about Regulation 191, it says that a chartered accountant in practice may act as a liquidator, trustee, executor, administrator, arbitrator, receiver, advisor for cost, and all that stuff is there. Okay. Provided, in his professional capacity, provided he is not in employment. So there are certain categories where he can act in professional capacity okay, other than being in employment or salary come full-time basis. Okay, so there are two regulations, 190A and 191. 198 talked about that chartered accountant can only enter based on the permissions. 191 says that he can enter in certain categories, okay, but not as in full-time or employment basis. He can enter as in professional capacity. We'll understand both in detail. Don't worry on that. But these are the two regulations which are also part of clause 11. So when I talk about unless permitted by council, so council has given these two regulations you need to follow. As a chartered accountant in practice, you need to follow. Clear? Now, let's understand these regulations in detail. Let's go with the first regulation 191. So which are those categories? Let's come to your module and page number 19.78. 19.78. Over there, you have a regulation 191. That where a part-time employment, a chartered accountant in practice may accept. Okay, there are certain categories. Those are simple, that is liquidator, trustee, executor, administrator, arbitrator, receiver, advertiser, advisor, representative for costing, financial taxation matters, or may take up appointment that may be made by central government or state government or a court of law or any other legal regulatory authority, or may act as a secretary in his professional capacity, provided employment or not on a full-time salary come full-time basis. So he can act in all these capacities, but not on employment or salary come full-time basis. That is 191. Now then, what is 190A? 190A basically talks about two different permissions. One is a general permission. General resolution means you can do that. No specific permission is required. Okay. No specific permission is required from the council. Member of institute in practice, they can enter into these particular categories and they can follow this occupation. No specific permission is required. For example, employment under chartered accountant in practice, you can go and be employed in the chartered accountant in practice. You can start private tutorship, authorship of books, holding life insurance agency limited for the purpose of reinsurance commission or renewal commission, attending classes and appearing for any examination, holding public elective offices, honorary office leadership, acting as a notary public, part-time tutorship, valuation of papers, editorship of professional journals, acting as a surveyor, acting as a recovery consultant, owning agricultural land. These are the categories where there is a permission already given. You can enter into these particular occupations. No specific permission is required. General permission. Now, there is a second category where a specific prior approval is required. Means you cannot enter unless and until you have an approval from the council. Now, these are full-time employment or in full-time employment in business. Okay. Full-time or part-time employment in business, provided that the member or his relatives do not hold substantial interest in such concerns. So means you are also a chartered accountant in practice and you are also involved full-time or part-time in employment in business. Means you are doing both. You need specific permission. You are part-time or full-time employment in non-business concern. Non-business means NGO. Still, you are part-time or full-time employment in non-business concern. You need specific permission. Office of Managing Director or Whole-Time Director, because Managing Director, Whole-Time Director requires a lot of time. Being a Managing Director or Whole-Time Director requires a lot of time. You are already a CA in practice. And if you go for Office of Managing Director or Whole-Time Director, how will you be able to provide time at the both ends? That's why it takes prior permission. Interest in family business concern. If you are having interest in family business concern, unless that is a part of inheritance, succession, or partition. Okay, or concerns in which interest has been acquired as a result of relationships. So if you have any interest in family business concern, you need to take prior permission. Interest in educational institution, take prior permission. Part-time, full-time lecturership for courses other than those related to institute examination. Now, what are the courses for institute examinations? Like CA or professional qualifications that are there. Okay, so those are fine. But if you are doing part-time or full-time lectureship for courses other than related to institute examination, then you are required to take prior permission. Being CA in practice. Part-time, full-time tutorship, any under educational institution. In that case, again, if you are in tutorship, then again you need to take prior permission. Other than the coaching organization of institute. So if there is a coaching organization of the institute, fine. If it is someone else, not fine. Take prior permission. Editorship of journal other than professional journals, take prior permission. Any other business or occupations for which executive committee consider that the permission may be granted. So for that also prior permission. So these are the categories where you need to obtain prior permission. Any doubt? So where a chartered accountant in practice, if he engages in any business or occupation, okay, engages in any business or occupation other than the occupation or business permitted by the council. Council had permitted either general one directly or specific one with prior permission. So if you are involving or getting indulged in the specific one and you are not obtaining the permission, means you are engaged in profession or occupation which is not permitted by council, and hence you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Any doubt with respect to clause 11? Any doubt? No? Okay. If no doubt, then let's proceed to the next clause. Clause 12. And after this clause, I'll be taking up a lot of questions so that you guys can have the understanding of the whole part 1 in detail. So, clause 12. If a chartered accountant in practice allows a person not being a member of the institute in practice or a member being his partner to sign on his behalf, if he is signing on his behalf or on behalf of his firm, any balance sheet, profit and loss account, report, or financial statement, then that chartered accountant in practice will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Means that if he allows anyone who is not a member of institute in practice or a member being his partner, he's a member but not being his partner, and if he allows him to sign, then guilty of professional misconduct. Straightforward. Again, there is section, remember any section that we discussed, who can sign the document on behalf of chartered accountant, any section that we discussed, remember in past, anyone? There was a section that we discussed. Very good, Danya, very good. Come on, guys, we discussed a section in past. Who can sign? 139. No, Raj, I'm talking about of the Charter Accountants Act. I'm talking about Charter Accountants Act. Anyone? Darshan, it's a different one, I would say. No? Okay. It was section 26. Okay. Section 26 of the Charter Accountants Act, where we discussed who can sign. Okay. We discussed that no person other than the member of institute shall sign any document on behalf of CA in practice. Okay. Or a firm of chartered accountant in his professional capacity. So that section, restricts any person from signing, okay, on behalf of a chartered accountant if he is not a chartered accountant in practice. Remember? So again, clause 12 reiterates the same, that a person, if a person or if a member of institute allows a person, okay, not being a member, to sign on his behalf, then he will be held guilty on his for professional misconduct. Now, there are again certain things which a person can sign not being a member of institute. Let's say, for example, I can delegate certain tasks of the signature to my office staff or my office, who are there on employment basis. For example, if I ask them to issue audit queries, and if that requires a signature, perfectly fine. You can issue audit queries that you have done. Okay, asking for information, letter forwarding draft observation, initiating or stamping of vouchers, issuing memorandum of cash verifications. Okay, issuing acknowledgement for records. So for admin staff, if there is a signature required and if someone from my office has done that signature, perfectly fine. I'm talking about signature related to the assurance. Understand, signature related to the assurance means signing on audit report, signing on certificate, signing on profit and loss, balance sheet, where I'm giving any kind of assurance. In those scenarios, it is not allowed. Okay. So admin staff, fine. Non-admin staff, not fine. Or non-admin related work, assurance related work, not fine. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay. If no further doubts, what we will do is we'll take up some questions to discuss. Okay. We have discussed till clause 12. Let's take up some questions. Now, this is a question that Mr. D, a practicing chartered accountant from Mangalore, he's been practicing as a sole proprietor for past 2 decades. Mr. D's daughter, Miss S, is a newly qualified chartered accountant who cleared the final exam just 3 months ago. Immediately after qualifying, she also wanted to set up a sole proprietary concern and practice on her own. After setting up the firm, she printed her own visiting cards. So there is a given visiting card. Okay. In the view of above visiting card, whether Mr. S or Miss S will be held guilty of professional misconduct? If so, under which clause? So options are given. Take 2 minutes, read the option and give me the answer. Take 2 minutes, read the option and give me the answer on this one. Okay, Sumit. Come on, guys. Could be a tricky one because it may contain something which I have not discussed, but not something which is uh you know already not being discussed. Something it's there. Pretty common in front of you. Come on, quickly, guys. So, okay, Tushar, Anila, Jenny, Koshika, okay, Raj, good. Okay, can anyone tell me what is the problem over here? Like why you are saying uh BCD? Like if any of the clause you are saying BCD, then why? What is the reason behind it? What is the reason behind here? There is just a visiting card. Okay, Sumit. As I said, Tushar, okay, very good, Tushar. But again, the option should be different one. Your answer is correct. Very good, Ginny. Very good. Absolutely correct. So there is a different answer for that. Okay, let me explain over here. We have discussed this topic in past. Okay, we have discussed this particular topic, and this basically is related to section 24 of the Chartered Accountants Act and the clause which is related to that particular section. Can anyone tell me what is section 24 of the Chartered Accountants Act? Something related to that. Okay. Section 24 talks about penalty for falsely claiming to be a member, where not a member of the institute represents himself a member or uses the designation, or if he is a member in practice, or being a member of institute but not having COP, represent himself as COP. On the similar line, if you see over here, she has mentioned FCA. She's not a fellow because she just now cleared a CA, but she's an associate member. Remember, we discussed about associate and fellow. Still, she is disclosing herself as an FCA. Now, there, in that case, there is a clause 1 which is closely linked to this particular scenario, which says that a member of institute, not a fellow, representing himself as a fellow. Clause 1, part 3, first schedule. So, answer is D because she is not a fellow, but still she is mentioning FCA. In that case, she is guilty of professional misconduct. Now, here it is written that after setting up the firm, she printed her own visiting card. I assume when she set it up her firm, she has taken the membership. But any which ways, when if I assume that she has taken the membership, she will be taking the associate membership, not directly a fellow membership. So that is a clear-cut miss over here, and that is, makes her liable or deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct under clause 1, part 3 of first schedule. That is option number D. Any doubt till now? Any doubt? Are you understanding the answer over here? Why option number D? So I hope you guys understand that. No, Sumit, she has got the membership reason because she has set up her firm. So I will assume that she has the membership, but not the fellow membership. Any doubt? Okay. Let's proceed to the next one. Okay. So Mr. S is a practicing chartered accountant based out of Chennai. During the weekends, he involved himself in the equity research and used to advise his friends, relatives, and other known people who are not his clients. Apart from this, he was involved as a paper setter for accountancy subject in the school in which he studied. He also owned agricultural land, which was doing agriculture during and was doing agriculture during his free time. During year 20x1, heavy losses were incurred in agriculture activity due to natural calamities and misfortune, and he lost almost all his wealth and became undischarged insolvent. After few court hearings, finally in year 20x3, he was declared discharged insolvent and obtained the certificate from the court stating that his insolvency was caused by misfortune without any misconduct on his part. You are required to comment on the above situation with reference to the Chartered Accountants Act and schedule thereto. Now, there are few things. He is engaged in some businesses. He got insolvent during the year, and with respect to his name being entered into a register of members. 2 to 3 things are together. Let's go one by one. During the work, he involved himself in the equity research and used to advise his friends. Okay, and advise his friends, relatives, and other people known who are not his clients. Now tell me, during weekends, he involved himself in equity research and advising his clients or advising his friends. Any issue in that? We'll go part by part. Any issue in that? Any answers on this one? Any answers? During weekends, he himself involved himself in equity research. Okay, so he is providing services to his friends, relatives, not to the clients. Okay, and to known people. He is not publishing any report per se. Okay, even in the recent, ethical, that guidelines that were issued, it was held that that ethical standard board held that, if a person or if a chartered accountant in practice is issuing retail reports to the public, okay, or to clients, it would tantamount to business. But in this case, he's not issuing any retail reports or any such thing to the clients. He's providing services to his friends or his relatives, so he will not be held guilty for involving any other professional or business which is not permitted by council, where he should not involve. So that will be fine. He can do or he can involve himself in the equity research. That is perfectly fine. Clear? So equity research is fine. He is not guilty of professional misconduct because he is providing to his friends and relatives, not to the clients. And there is no business or occupation per se involved in this scenario. First one. Second one, he was paper setter for accountancy subject in the school where he studied. Now tell me about this one. Paper setter for accountancy subject in the school in which he studied. And the third one is the agricultural land or agriculture activity. Okay, Anila, very good. Very good, Vignesh. Yes, Raj. Yes, Danya, very good. Okay. Sumit, good. Okay. Okay, Ginny, very good. Okay, Danya, Anila, very good. Very good. Okay, so you guys are absolutely correct. When we discuss general permissions, remember when we were discussing general permissions at that particular point in time, we discussed that, paper setter, I'll just show you, paper setter and this agriculture is coming under the category of general permissions. So if you see point number 10, valuation of papers, acting as a paper setter, head examiner, moderator for any examination, perfectly fine. General permission, you can add. Point number 14, owning agricultural land and carrying out agriculture activity, perfectly fine. That is there. So acting as a paper setter or owning agricultural land, perfectly fine, you can enter. There is no issue in that. So that is allowed as under the general permissions. No specific prior permission is required for this one. So not guilty for professional misconduct. Clear? Now the last one. He was declared insolvent, and then he was declared discharged solvent and obtained a certificate of practice or certificate from the court stating that that his insolvency was caused by misfortune without any misconduct. Now, what will be the impact of this? What will be the impact of this insolvency? Come on, guys. Okay, Vignesh. Good, Sumit. Good, Raj. Yes, Darshan. Good. Okay, Anila, very good. We have discussed this particular part earlier. We have discussed this particular part earlier. Is there any misconduct over here? Okay, let's discuss section 8, which is very important and it is given in the question also. And if you guys have the module with you, then come on the page number 19.21. I'll take up this particular point from module 19.21. Disabilities for the purpose of membership. Again, I will reiterate this particular part. That is section 8. Disabilities for the purpose of membership. So, section 8 of the Chartered Accountants Act says that in these cases, the chartered accountant will be disabled or debarred from having his name entered into the register of members. One point is if he is undischarged insolvent. Second point is being discharged insolvent and has not obtained from the court a certificate stating that his insolvency was caused by misfortune without any misconduct. Now, when we are discussing this particular question, we are already in 20X3, where he was declared discharged insolvent and has obtained a certificate from the court stating that his insolvency was caused by misfortune. So, currently we will fall under this particular point, but here he has obtained. Now, if he would have not obtained, then he would have been disqualified. But he has obtained that certificate. Okay, but he has obtained the certificate. That's why there is no issue and he is not disqualified or debarred from getting his name removed from the register. So his name will be there. If you obtain the certificate and you become discharged insolvent, perfectly fine. Same the case is here. He is declared discharged insolvent and has obtained the certificate, complied with the provisions of section 8, perfectly fine. His name will not be removed. Clear? Any doubt? So in all the cases, he is not guilty of professional misconduct. Any doubt? No problem for register. Yes, Tushar. He has obtained the certificate. His name will not be removed. Any doubt till now? Okay. If no further doubts, let's take up one more question. So the question is, CA Sumati is practicing charter accountant having office in Mumbai. CA Sumati is owner of domain cap.net. In order to generate additional revenue, CA Sumati sold this domain to XYZ Limited for earning a royalty of 2,25,000. One of the directors of XYZ Limited contended that the CA Sumati has violated the code of conduct. CA Sumati responded there is no violation of code of conduct as selling of domain name is not related to any professional assignment which requires approval of the institute. You need to comment on this. Whether CA Sumati is right or XYZ Limited is right. Come on, guys. Just one thing, if any student who is not part of the Zoom meeting or they are watching through BIOS portal or YouTube, you can join through your Zoom links. You can join these lectures and be part of the the Zoom session over there. Also, you can ask your questions. So you can join the Zoom session, and also you can see from these different modes. So both are allowed. Anila, can you just provide the reason why do you say so? Like, what is the logic behind your answer, or any specific reason you are giving this answer? Thank you, Jenny. So the questions are here for the to give you a feeling how the questions can come in exam. Okay, Raj, good. But under which clause, Anila? Like, if you are talking about professional misconduct, under which clause? Come on, guys. Okay. Okay, Kushi. Okay, Anila. Very good, Jenny. Yes. Anyone else? Anyone? No? Anyone? Any answers? Okay. Let me explain the answer over here. So, one thing you understand here is we talked about clause 11, regulation 190. Okay. Now, that allows chartered accountant in practice to be engaged in certain occupation and business. And for others which are not allowed in general permission, you need to take a specific permission. Okay. Now, here, as per regulation 198, activity of selling domain name for earning royalty is or classified as a business occupation. So if you see the definition of the business occupation, if it is not falling under the what is it category of general, it will fall under the category of specific permission prior approval. Because here she has also earned an amount. Okay, so she has earned royalty. So it's a kind of business or occupation. And CA in practice can only enter into other business or occupation and which are, which is covered in the specific categories, not covered in the general one, when they have a prior permission of the council. In this case, they don't have the prior permission of the council. As a result, CA Sumati will be held guilty of professional misconduct because she has not taken prior permission. She will be held deemed guilty of professional misconduct. So she should have taken prior permission under clause 11 of part 1 first schedule as per regulation 198. Very good, Raj. Yes. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt till now? Any doubt? Okay. So if no doubts, let us see some more clauses that we have to take further. Okay. So we will be taking some clauses that are there for the part 2, part 3, and they are pretty much, on the similar lines that we have already discussed. So what we discussed till now, clause 12, and there are some questions on that till clause 12. Now let's go to part 2, first schedule, and clause 1. Remember, when I discussed about clause 2, it was applicable in case of, okay, for services. Now, clause 1, it is on the similar line of clause 2 of part 1, where if you pay or allow or agree to pay directly or indirectly any person, any share, okay, of the employment that is undertaken by him. Like if you share the part of the employment that is undertaken, in that case, the person or the chartered accountant in employment will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Okay, so it is similar on the lines that we discussed in clause 2. Just the difference over here is that the chartered accountant now is not in practice, but the chartered accountant over here, they are into the service. Okay, so the member of institute in service, I'm talking about, if they pay or allow or agrees to pay, then they will be held guilty of professional misconduct. So that is purely basis like you are not allowed to share any part of your salary to get the job. Let's say, for example, I go in a company, I say to, HR, give me the job. I'll give you 10% of my salary every month. If he's giving me a job of, let's say, for example, 40-50 lakh package or 60 lakhs of package, in that case, I'm saying that, okay, 10% every month. Annually, it will become 6 lakhs or 7 lakh rupees based on the annual package or more than that even. So, good deal. But in that case, clause 1 says that if you are a member of institute in service, you cannot do that. Okay. So, job must be procured and retained with own professional capabilities, not on the basis of financial dealing. See, Raj, it is part of regulation 198 in general permissions. So there is no specific permission required for a chartered accountant in practice being in employment under another full-time chartered accountant in practice. Clear? Any doubt with clause 1? Straightforward, pretty simple, nothing difficult over here. We have already discussed this. No, see, in that case, he should be member of institute in service. If he is in practice, He's in practice. If he's in service, he will be counted as in service. But when I'm talking about practice and serving a chartered accountant in practice, it is deemed to be practice. Remember the definition of deemed to be practice that we discussed in 2.2? He will still count it as a deemed to be in practice. One-time referral fee. See, it doesn't say that you need to pay every month. The clause does not specify that, okay, if you pay every month, then only you will fall under the purview of the clause. No. Even if you pay one time referral fee or something like that, if you pay anything from your salary, you are guilty of professional misconduct. Any doubt? Sumit, the important is who is paying the amount. Who is paying the amount? If you are saying organizations allows you to pay a referral fee, like who is paying to you? The person who is getting hired or organization? If the person who is a chartered accountant or member of institute getting hired and paying you some amount from his salary, guilty of professional misconduct, irrespective who allowed it. Any doubt till now on clause 1? No? Okay. Clause 2. Same as a clause 3 of part 1. Agree to accept part of fees, profit, gains from a lawyer, a chartered accountant, or a broker engaged by such company, firm, or person or agent or customer of such company, firm, person by way of commission or gratification. In other words, it means that you cannot grant, company contracts to any person by taking, some commission or gratification out of the company from him. No, you cannot do that. Means I'm saying that, okay, you are a lawyer. My company is looking for a lawyer. You pay me 10% of your total fees. I'll pass on your, profile to my company and I'll get you the contract. If you do that, you will get clause 2. So don't do that. Okay. So if you are chartered accountant or member of institute in service, I'm talking about member of institute in service. If you agree to accept any part of fees from lawyer, chartered accountant, broker, firm or person or agent or customer of such company, you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. And that should be by way of commission or gratification. Clear? Any doubt with respect to this? Any doubt? Straightforward, pretty simple, nothing difficult over here. Raj, it will CA in practice under FCA will be count as deemed to be in practice. Section 2.2. Deemed to be in practice. Very good question. How institute come to know about this? So when the company complains that, you as a CA or a member of institute being in service in my company are taking bribe, commission, gratification from the customer, lawyers or agent, and they file a complaint on behalf of you in institute, then institute comes to me. Or anyone does a complaint, okay, you get, caught for that. You are held guilty, he can be held guilty of professional misconduct if that is a scenario. Okay. Any doubt till now? Then good with the clause 2? Okay. Now, the next part, part 3. Part 3 is related to the professional misconduct in relation to a member of the Institute General. Means whether he is in service, whether he is in practice, whether he is doing nothing. But if he is a member of Institute, this will attract. For example, I am. If I am into service, part 2 will attract. But if I do anything which is not part of part 2, but part of part 3, that will also attract to me. So part 3 is applicable to the chartered accountant in practice who are already covered by part 1, and it is applicable to chartered accountant or member in service who are already covered by part 2. So part 2 is applicable to all of them. It is not necessary that, once a part 3 is applicable to all of them. So once it is not necessary that any one or part out of the 4 will be applicable. No, it is not the case. Part 1 and 3 both can apply. If you have done certain things which are covered by part 1 and 3 both, then both will apply. Or 2 or 3 both will apply. And clause 1 of part 3 says that not being a fellow of the institute acts as a fellow of the institute. The example that we saw. Remember? The example that we saw was of this particular scenario. Mr. D's daughter, Miss S, she wrote FCA, being an associate member, not being a fellow of the institute, acts as a fellow of the institute, mentions fellow on the visiting card, guilty of professional misconduct. That is straightforward. Nothing, much complication in this one. That is clause 1. Clause 2 does not supply information called for or does not comply with the requirement asked by institute, council, committees, directors discipline, board of discipline, disciplinary committee, quality review board, or appellate authority. So if you do not provide the information or if you do not comply with the requirements, and if the information is called by these authorities or the order or the requirements are issued by these authorities, you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. So institute, council, committees, directors discipline, board of discipline, disciplinary committee, quality review board, or appellate authority. So any functionary of the institute, okay, if they call for information, you have to provide the information. If you do not provide the information, you will be held guilty of clause 2, part 3. Okay. So for example, let's say you were as a proprietor doing practice. Later on, you left the practice and joined the job or service, and still you are holding full-time certificate of practice, okay, in the name of firm. But you left the practice, now you are doing job. You did not inform institute. So you did not supply the information, or you did not comply with the requirement of the sections or the council guidelines. Then you are held guilty of professional misconduct. There is no part-time COP. So he can be in practice in a limited sense, means to train article clerk. That is, so it's not a part-time COP. We say that chartered accountant in practice, a member of institute who is full-time in practice, but for the limited sense, for the limited purpose, that is to train an article assistant. Any doubt with clause 2? Any doubt? Okay. If no doubt, let's move to the clause 3. Clause 3 is related to the clause 6 and 7 of part 1. 6 and 7 of the part 1, which were related to, remember, soliciting through means not open to chartered accountant and advertisement. So what is this? While inviting professional work from another chartered accountant, or while responding to the tenders or inquiries, or while advertising through a write-up, or anything provided in item 6 or 7 of part 1, gives information knowing it to be false. Means you declare or issue false information on website, write-ups, advertisement, or anywhere which is covered by item 6 or 7, or tenders. In that case, you'll be held guilty of professional misconduct under clause 3, part 3. Providing false information. Pretty much straightforward. Including CV. Providing false information in CV, yes, it is counted as a write-up. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt till now, till part 3, clause 3? No? Okay. Now, the next part that I am going to discuss is the part 4. Now, this part is related to other misconduct to members of the institute generally. Other misconduct, not the professional misconduct. So, if a member of institute generally held guilty of any item under this particular part, I will call him that the member of institute, whether in practice or not, is deemed to be guilty of other misconduct, not the word professional misconduct. While writing in the exam, if you mention professional misconduct instead of other misconduct, that is incorrect. You have to be make sure that when you are responding to any kind of thing which is covered by part 4 of first schedule, part 3 of second schedule, in that case you need to write other misconduct. I'm repeating again because that is very important. A lot of students do a mistake over here. They just write guilty of professional misconduct. No, in those cases you need to write other misconduct, guilty of other misconduct, deemed to be guilty of other misconduct. Okay. Now, clause 1 of part 4 says that if a member of institute in general, okay, is held guilty by any civil, criminal court for an offense which is punishable with imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months, means it is less than 6 months, but he is held guilty for any civil or criminal offense. In that case, he will be held guilty or deemed to be guilty of other misconduct, not professional. So, held guilty by any civil or criminal court for an offense which is punishable with imprisonment for a term which is not exceeding or which is not more than 6 years, means which is less than 6 years or 6 months, sorry, not years. I'm talking about months, my mistake, which is less than 6 months. In that case, guilty of other misconduct. Straightforward, no confusion, straight clause. No exceptions, no ifs, no buts. Direct detail of the clause. Any doubt? Any doubt till now? Nope. Okay. Then the next clause that I want to cover is clause 2 of this part 4. Again, if a member of the institute in general, okay, in the opinion of the council, brings disrepute to the profession or the institute as a result of the action, whether or not related to his professional work, he will be deemed to be guilty of other misconduct. Now, here the term is in the opinion of the council. If the council of the is of the opinion that you have brought disrepute to the profession, in that case, you will be held guilty of other misconduct. Clear? Again, straightforward. No, exceptions or no provided, nothing like that. Any doubt? Any doubt? Sometimes these two clauses may attract together. For example, you were held guilty by any civil or criminal code for anything which you did with relation to your profession, and that also brought repute to the institute or the profession. In that case, you can get attracted by both of the clauses. Yes, Sumit. Personal also cover. If you bring disrepute repute to the profession or to the institute, whether or not related to the professional work, maybe related to the personal work. If somehow you bring still disrepute, in that case, you will be held guilty of other misconduct. Any doubt till now? Any doubt? No? No doubt? If no doubt, let us take one more question and let's discuss that question. Mr. Avi, a newly qualified chartered accountant, started his practice and saw clients through telephone calls from his families and friends, and almost all of them employed in one or other retail trade businesses. Okay. One of his friends, Mr. Ravi, gave him an idea to start online services and give stocks certifications to the traders with cash credit limit in banks. Mr. Ravi started a website with colorful, catchy designs and shared the website address on his social media post and stories and tagged 40 traders of his local community with the caption, "Simple online stock certification services." Besides, Mr. Ravi entered into an agreement with the digital marketer to give him 8% of commission on each services procured through him. Discuss if the actions of Mr. Ravi are valid in light of professional ethics and guidelines issued by ICAI. So you tell me, what are the issues in the current scenario? Okay, Sumit, very good. What else? What are the issues in the current scenario? Okay, Sumit, yes, very good. Can you mention the clauses also? Okay, Sumit, very good. Yes. Yes, Ginny, very good. Anyone else? Yes, Danya, very good. Okay, Anila, good. Okay, Raj. Okay, Anila, very good. Yes. Very good, Raj. Yes. Yes, Anila. Absolutely correct. Let me explain. Yes, yes, Jenny, very good. See, what the person here is doing, he is the chartered accountant in practice. He is making telephone calls to his family, friends, all of them, employed in other retail businesses. He's giving idea to start an online service and stock certification to traders. He has, catchy website, social media stories, simple online stock certifications, entered into an agreement with digital marketer for 8% commission. So one, you are trying to solicit clients or professional work through means which is not open to you. On second hand, you are sharing or you are paying or agree to pay a part of your fees with a person who is not in the category of the specified person. Yes, you will be held guilty of professional misconduct under clause 6. Plus, if you are paying commission, 8% commission on each of the service procured through him, means you are sharing your part of the fees. Again, clause 2 will apply. So, both of the clause will apply and he will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Straightforward. Simple. Clear? Any doubt till now? Any doubt? Any doubt? No? No doubts? So, guys, this we discussed till, first schedule. Now in the next lecture, we will be discussing in detail the second schedule. Okay. Please go through the second schedule in detail. Please read that schedule. It is very important. We will be discussing that. Okay. And if you have any doubts at any point in time, you can ask, or you, after going through the lecture, after this lecture, if you come in the next lecture, you can ask the doubts of the previous lecture. Perfectly fine. Okay. If no further doubts, then I propose to close the session today over here. Please read this particular second schedule before next lecture. Raj, see, you need to understand the clause, you need to remember the clause number, and you need to write the clause wordings in the exam also. So yes, you need to learn the clause that is there. So that will come with the practice. The more questions you will practice, the more you will understand. The write-up means any kind of, article or some, post you are doing on the online. Like I do a LinkedIn post. I post an article on some website, blog, anything. That's a write-up. Any further doubts? No? Okay, guys. If no further doubts, thank you for your time. Thank you for participating in today's session. I will see you in the next session. Okay? Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Ashokji. Thank you, everyone.